saying is there are facts and you don't believe in there being opinions.
Yes, I am saying that there are facts.
This is a scientific fact that if you talk to any biologist, you will learn.
So in biology, they teach you that there's XX and XY chromosomes. So give me a number of how many genders there are.
Hundreds, many.
Unlimited, right?
It breaks
so
down
it's
in so
anything
many
you
more
want
categories.
to be, anything you feel.
No, it's what scientists determine given specific categories.
XY.
Why do you need a number if you're
Bingo. Why do you need a number? That's a great question.
You literally have no idea how it works. You're
because then you could self-identify to be anything you want at any time.
Literally, biologists are saying that this is the way the gender actually breaks down.
So you would accept the argument that you can self-identify to be anything at any time?
Yes, because literally biologists
that's what's wrong with not having a number.
What's up, YouTube? Hope you guys are feeling good. Today, guys, we're back given to a new video. Today, we're going to be checking out Charlie Kirk, HUMILIATES pro-trans leftist. Okay, this is going to be good. I call him Charlie Kick because he loves kicking us. Let's get right into today's video, guys.
Okay, how many genders are there?
Many. It's actually like quantifiable.
How about a number? So quantifiable, good.
No, it's so many because.
Give me a number, any number.
Okay, well the way the data breaks down, this is why you don't understand it.
Number.
You don't actually care about learning. You want one number. There's so many. The way that the
so many. So many is not a number.
Chromosomes actually break down with
so many is not a number.
Genders, and the way that it actually happens, that is a starting point that you learn in like 5th grade. But when you actually do real experiments, you learn that the way that data breaks down when it comes to.
Can you give me a number
genders,
or not? Number?
A number? You have 2. That's 6th grade science. When you move on, there are hundreds of different categories.
So what you learn in 6th grade becomes less true as you get older? Like gravity becomes less true?
That is a basic building
Newton's
block
third
that
law
children
becomes less
learn
true?
in order to understand the concept of gender. When you break it down into actual
Gender and
experiments when it
sex
comes
are
to
directly
chromosome and sex, it breaks down into hundreds of different categories that actually differentiate between just 2 genders. What you're saying is there are facts and you don't believe in there being opinions.
Yes, I am saying that there are facts.
This is a scientific fact that if you talk to any biologist, you will learn.
So in biology, they teach you that there's XX and XY chromosomes. So give me a number of how many genders there are.
Hundreds, many.
Unlimited, right?
It breaks
so
down
it's
in so
anything
many
you
more
want
categories.
to be, anything you feel.
No, it's what scientists determine given specific categories.
XY.
Why do you need a number if you're
Bingo. Why do you need a number? That's a great question.
You literally have no idea how it works. You're
because then you could self-identify to be anything you want at any time.
Literally, biologists are saying that this is the way the gender actually breaks down.
So you would accept the argument that you can self-identify to be anything at any time?
Yes, because literally biologists
that's what's wrong with not having a number.
There are hundreds of different numbers.
So
hundreds of different ways of gender and
sex.
So,
like I said earlier, I could be a bobcat, I could be a fox, I could be a snake.
Literally not even the case.
I could be anything.
No, you are literally saying that people not the actual
XX, XY, 2 genders, 2 sexes. They're directly related.
You're repeating words over and over
because
again.
Because it's true and you're not disproving it.
I am.
He doesn't have an argument. Like seriously, there's nothing there.
No, I know, but it's more.
She keeps interrupting.
Making
it's good. I like
that
it.
They are
she doesn't like my
to
face.
Be here and say these things more than I think I'm going to convince him.
I hear you.
I think you're idiots. I think it's mainly to just have an air of like, if you're gonna come in here, you're gonna be uncomfortable and you're gonna have to put up a good fight, which you're not doing. You're really quoting like super basic, shitty science that is just meant to teach.
But okay, but again, you don't have a number. I just want to recap.
Hundreds. There's hundreds of different
so where would you
ways
put?
Data breaks down.
Okay, so the data breaks down in 2 very simple predominant categories: XX and XY, and then no. Oh, so there's not male and female.
I mean, to a certain degree, but there are different ways that breaks down. When you actually get into sex and gender and X and Y chromosomes, it doesn't just break down in the way that there's many different ways.
And how would you categorize society then? Do you think men and women
I
are
would go by
categorically
specific scientific criteria and then go off of what that study and that information actually says. You see, that information breaks down into much more difficult and complex things than you can just say in 5 seconds with 2 different genders. I think what happens is you don't understand science and scientific backing. And you just want to put forth this fascist simple.
Oh, fascist simple. Here we go. That's interesting.
That will keep you.
So what is fascist about saying there's 2 genders?
Is you're just being completely not faithful to what actual science is telling you.
No, science is quite simple.
That there's an oppressive narrative about how you think.
So now I'm oppressive. How am I being oppressive? This is the truth comes out eventually. So how am I being oppressive?
Yeah, you're being oppressive.
How am I being oppressive?
You're being oppressive by denying people the ability to have.
How have I denied anyone anything? Okay, denying people identity. People can identify however they want. I'm only going to use 2 genders. That's the way that
Well,
West.
eventually you're the problem and you're going to get pushed out of the
Anyone
way.
who does not identify by like a female or male, you can identify them as an animal. You were saying
No, I haven't
the
said
way
that.
You could identify yourself.
I think
as a
history
fucking
has sort of proven
bobcat.
where your type of people are
No,
gonna
I
end
asked
up.
if I could be a
I
bobcat,
have an
and
essay to
somebody
write
said
that's
yes
actually
earlier, and
from
you said no.
You're a bobcat.
I'm a bobcat. I can be whatever I want to be. I could be a tree. I could be an 85-year-old person. Why not?
I love Charlie.
All right, I'm late to class. Have fun, bobcat.
Okay,
So there should be two genders.
correct. Let me ask you a question. Do you think a child, when they're born, should be raised in a certain mold, or do you think that child should be able to determine what gender it is as it grows up?
I think that child should be allowed to determine what gender that they define by.
So if a child is born with an XY chromosome as a male, you shouldn't raise that as a son. You should allow that child to discover whatever it is.
Yes.
Okay, that's you and
They
I.
should be allowed to define themselves and define who they want to be seen as.
Okay, so do you think there's differences between men and women?
Yes. There are biological differences between men and women.
But so then what would you would say to a child that's born, you're not going to raise it as a son or as a daughter, you allow it to discover itself. So sons should be allowed to have dolls and whatever, and whatever happens.
Yes. Are you saying that men should not be allowed to have Barbie dolls?
I did not say that whatsoever, but I'm saying there's certain character attributes and traits of how young men should be raised and how young ladies should be raised.
You are defining that women should be raised in one way and men should be raised in another.
Without a shadow of a doubt, yes. Men should have to restrain themselves from the physical proclivity. Men
How
should
men be raised?
to be gentlemen, to never use force unless absolutely necessary. Men should have to mature over a long period of time, to not indulge in their Darwinian proclivity to hurt, to harm, to hunt. And women who are more biologically likely to be nurturers and caretakers should be taught to be ladies from a young age. That's biologically consistent.
Sew and stay at home. And
No, if women want to do something different, that's fine. However, the data shows when men and women are presented with equitable choices, women are much more likely to. Oh, you should send that to Venezuela. They don't have that there. When men and women around ages 6 to 18 are given the option of what kind of majors they want to study, women tend to go towards early childhood education, nursing, so on and so forth, and men tend to go towards business and finance. Men and women have biological differences.
because of the way that they were raised.
No, that you and I completely disagree. It's because of the DNA chromosomal structure that is inherent in who they are.
Why would you have to mold it?
I'll take one.
Sorry, girl.
Wait, what is the toilet
Thanks, I need to
paper?
whip my ass.
Oh, naturally,
Where's
if that's naturally just gonna happen, why would you have to mold
Can I actually get some toilet paper? I'm running low.
Well, they have a predisposition towards a certain behavioral pattern, but goodness must be taught.
Well, goodness must be taught. I mean, goodness is good.
Well, no, I mean, people are broken by nature. You must teach a child to stop crying or to stop lying or to
People
stop
are broken
manipulating.
by nature.
Yes.
So you're going by the religious aspects that we
Of original sin, yes, because data supports it. And, I mean, child
So is this a
psychology.
religious thing?
No, I am an evangelical Christian if you want to ask me, but it's a purely secular argument.
Okay, but by stating the argument that people are born in sin, that is a religious argument, and that is outside of politics, and politics and religious things should be separated.
Again, so you asked, is it an original sin argument? Yes. People are predisposed towards doing bad by their nature. Why do we have to teach kids to stop crying?
What science backs that up?
Child psychology. Jordan Peterson. You laugh? Yeah, one of the most noted published. Yeah, he taught at Harvard. He taught at some of the top schools across the world, and now he's being ostracized because he talks that men and women are different, which is now a radical notion in our university system. Men are better at some things than women, and women are better at some things than men.
Fact,
What things are men better at?
Lifting heavy objects.
Alright, cool.
Women are better caretakers and nurturers. Women are more organized. Women mature earlier.
Yeah, I'm a way better nurturer than my sister. I work with kids, holy shit.
There are always exceptions to the rule, but the
Then-
rule exists
then
for a
there's
reason.
no rule.
So the top,
There cannot be exceptions to a rule because the rule doesn't exist.
no, that's not the case. You have the rule, which is a generally true on the aggregate, but you always have things that are outliers to the data trend. Always. So when you say that men are typically better physically positioned than physically gifted than women, that's true. I mean, if you look around.
I'm sorry. Say that again?
That men are usually stronger physically than women, that is true. The data supports that. Are there women that are stronger than men? Of course. That's an exception to a rule. That's called an outlier to data.
Why is that a naturally better then? 'Cause, like,
I'm not saying better. I'm not saying one sex or gender is better than the other. They're different.
I can see your point. I can see that men do have more testosterone.
Oh, okay.
So they are
That's what I'm
stronger.
saying. So there's differences.
Yes, but
Therefore, men are better at certain things than women, and women are better at certain things than men. Okay, let me ask you: Can you identify as any species you want to? Cheetah, llama, zebra.
That's completely different.
Well, hold on a second. If you can identify as any gender, why can't you identify as a different species?
It's categorically different.
Why?
Yeah, it's-
Why?
Okay, real quick, my name's Amari.
Nice to see you. But
I do work with TX for abortion, so I'm all around. I've talked to
Okay.
a bunch of people on the same level.
okay,
as
so you promote abortions.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Okay. Anyways, back to this. Categorically different. It's the same way why. It's the same reason as to why laws are made regarding to humans as opposed to dolphins. Even though intelligence-wise, you could say oh, there are certain animals that are more intelligent than there are certain humans, but categorically we are different.
Why are we different?
Based on different things such as
No,
intelligence.
Yeah, what is a human being?
One sec. I'm going to define it as personhood, and then we'll go from there. Personhood, consciousness, the ability to feel pain, nerve systems, movement, communication, a bunch of linguistic differences that put us above the rest of the
So a
animal
chimpanzee has all those things. Why are they not a human being?
kingdom. Personhood.
Why? No, but what about it?
Parfait question.
Person.
No, but what about it? What about it?
The same
There's a
reason
very
why-
obvious answer you're missing.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a soul in a human being.
Okay. Well, I mean, you can prove that there's souls in other things.
Now, you see, our ability to have rational
We'll
speech.
disagree on that one. Back to
The
abortion.
classical
real quick.
argument
Real quick.
would be
Back
our
to
ability to
abortion.
speak,
I
our
don't
ability
care
to
about this. You're
reason.
debating something that I'm not providing a point that I care enough.
Okay, fine. Go ahead.
So back to, or did you want to finish? real
No,
quick?
you can go.
Yeah,
I'm listening to.
that's fine.
Okay, real quick. Okay, back to abortion. So your whole thing is you shouldn't kill a baby. Why?
Because human beings are special and unique. I believe they're made in the image of God. They have souls.
What about illegal immigrants? Does that change your perspective?
Those two. I don't think we should kill illegal immigrants. I think we should deport them and send them back to their country
What if
of
that means
origin.
they're getting killed?
Well, that's not killing them. Maybe they shouldn't have broken.
That is killing
Well, hold
them.
on. Maybe they shouldn't have broken into our country in the first place. But continue.
Simple.
Trespassing in somebody else's yard.
What about
Things
DACA? Like,
Deport them all. Go ahead. Sorry.
Crazy. Back to abortion because that's what you're here to provoke everyone about.
Well, it's not provoking. I mean, yet.
Come on.
It's a bad statement to
anyways,
use.
So, yeah, you said because humans have this intrinsic value about them.
A soul, right? So.
Okay, so we're defining it as a soul.
Well, not only that, human beings are the only creature that could tell the just from the unjust, not just
Kind of
pain from
reasoning.
pleasure. We agree with that, right?
Just from the unjust.
That's the classical Aristotelian argument of what is a human being, right? We have rational speech. Not only human beings are the only creatures that could tell right from wrong, not just what feels good and what doesn't feel good. No other creature has that ability. Sorry, continue.
Okay. I don't know enough research to debate that topic, but I feel like you're wrong.
Well, it's self-evident,
I'll
as
go
John
back to
Locke
my
would
thing.
say, right? We can
I'll
just
go
tell
back
by
to
our
my
existence.
I got a question.
Sure. What was your name again? I'm sorry.
I don't think I told you. My name's Mercury.
Nice to meet you. Well, nice to re-meet you, I should say.
What do you hope to get out of this? Why are you here?
Okay, I've been asked that question a lot. First of all, that question should not even have to be asked, but when people stop talking, really bad stuff starts. When marriages stop talking, divorce happens. When church starts happening, they fall apart. When civilizations stop talking, civil war ensues. When you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to want to commit violence against that group. Whether it be the great genocide, the horrible genocides of the last 100 years, people stop talking with each other because they lose their humanity. I wish we could be here without having my hat thrown off and stuff, but what we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have reasonable disagreement where violence is not an option.
think that what this sign says is like a way to introduce this discussion is
Yeah,
there
you
are
think
only
that sign
two
isn't
genders.
violent? You think that's not emotional violence?
You don't
How
think
is this?
that's
What is emotional violence, by the way? I don't know what that
It
is.
is harm intentionally perpetrated on another another human being that is intentionally targeted at their emotional well-being.
Okay, so feelings mean nothing to me.
This is a very clear message, man.
What's
Yeah,
the, what,
you
what's
are-
the, tell me what the clear message is. What is
This is
it?
a very clear message that you are so against it, dude. By not
What am
saying,
I
like,
against?
By like, you should rewrite it or something. Say like, I believe there are only two genders. Let's have a discussion. Not there are only two genders. That is a very hard, hateful statement.
Why are both of you so bothered? But why this what this is saying? But it's just a discussion. It's like, that's what I can understand. If this triggers you guys so much, then you have the voluntary capacity to
The
leave.
sign is not telling people let's have a discussion.
Sure it
Like,
is.
this is a statement just saying there are only two genders.
There are only
Correct,
two
and
genders.
that's what starts a conversation and a discussion. It's not in
That's not the best way to start a conversation. Especially
Well, look
with
around.
someone who is transgender.
I've had nothing but respect and love for you throughout this whole conversation, have I not?
See, I think the
Maybe I haven't. Maybe I.
The problem I'm seeing here, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you think you can say things like this.
No,
There are only two genders.
I can say stuff like that.
No, and then say that you don't promote violence.
I don't promote violence. I'm not inciting violence against anyone. I would never condone violence against any specific group, ever. And so here's where this is so important. Don't misinterpret this for where it's not. Now, if I had a sign that says transgenderism is a mental disorder or it's evil, which people do come on campus and say,
You're right. I've experienced that.
That's
because
not
I am
me.
transgender and I know what that feels like.
oh, okay, again, so don't loop me into that category. I am making a biological observation and statement that is rooted in fact and evidence of which I've shared for the last hour and a half, respectfully and with dialogue and discussion for everyone to allow their opinions heard. So isn't this the proper way to do this?
You should put the
No,
word
I don't think so.
respect
Have I embodied respect in the way I've done this? Maybe I haven't. I mean,
there are only two genders.
Because there are only
What-
two
what-
genders.
2015 take. I mean, it's not really that crazy.
what is? Why does that bother you guys?
Why does it bother you that people identify as something other than male or female?
It doesn't. I've never said it bothers me.
So then why are you doing this?
Because I'm making a sociological observation. I said there's three reasons why to do it. First of all,
You couldn't just leave it alone?
but isn't speech all about challenging things that are difficult? Isn't why we had the First Amendment to try to push our boundaries and to hear things that might make you mildly uncomfortable?
This doesn't make me mildly uncomfortable.
Does it make you very uncomfortable?
It makes me angry.
Why does
That's
it?
what it makes
But
me.
okay, so
Because you are denying the existence of people.
I have never said that, nor have
But
I
that's what
inferred
this
that.
sign does.
How?
Because you're saying that people who identify
No,
as a
it's
gender
what,
other than
what is
male
the,
or
what does the sign say?
your sign says there are only two genders.
That's all it says.
You're right.
Okay,
Words
so
have
don't
meanings.
so don't have inference behind it.
I got another super fan right there. That's a sign of endearment in most cultures. Come on up.
So why do you care so much about other individuals living their lives? Why is it affecting you? Do you have something up your ass or something?
Why do you care so much about what I have to say?
Because you're affecting other people's rights. You're taking away people's choices. You are hurting people.
Do you think
Why are
every
they
human being
so violent?
has a right to life?
Depending on how many weeks, but let's
So wait,
get-
hold on. Who's
No,
trying to take
no.
rights away? I want to protect the rights of all human beings. You call them a clump of cells. Who's trying to take rights away exactly?
So when is it a human being in your mind? When is it a human being in your mind?
Well, it's not even on my mind. Human development objectively begins at conception.
What if it's affecting the woman or anybody who is pregnant in this situation? What if they're gonna die and they have to get an abortion? That's the only way they're gonna live. Are they going to be over?
Well, hold on. Just so we're clear, that's only a couple thousand cases a year. But let's talk about the main thing, because there's over 1.5 million abortions every single year that don't involve rape, incest, or life of the mother. 1.5 million.
Most
But-
individuals that are having abortions are going to be mothers that cannot afford it. They usually have already 2 to 3
we do
kids
again.
and a lot of time.
So it's acceptable to be able to murder your young if all of a sudden you don't have the money to support them. That you can murder your offspring if you're poor. 99.9% of all abortions are not rape and not incest and not life of the mother. How did that woman get pregnant in those certain situations? Did she just walk through campus and it just appeared and all of a sudden a baby is in her uterus? Or did she do something to decide to potentially have a child?
Sex. But
Oh,
also
okay.
contraceptives sometimes don't always
Got
work.
it. So, but hold on a second. Shouldn't you take responsibility for your
We all
orgasms?
got some-
I don't think most men can make me come. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, okay. Well, again, outside of that statement, I'm not even sure how to take that, to be honest. Shouldn't you take responsibility for the sex that you have?
Let's say I was having sex and my contraceptives didn't work and I got the chance of getting pregnant. I am not having that child.
So, but you still decided to have sex.
Yeah.
And again, our opinion, when you go and decide, having sex is not something you need to survive. It's not like showering or eating or shelter. You can live without having sex. You can have a little bit of self-control. If you decide to go have sex, you should understand you play certain games, you win certain prizes, which might be another human life. Maybe we can get to some approximation of an agreement. Can we agree?
No.
Oh.
So I'm here with the Alliance of Male Feminists defending women's bodies. My main question is, why are you so obsessed with legislating women's bodies? It seems like you've made it your life mission to remove the choice of the woman, and I just want to know why that is.
So you're accusing me of wanting to
legislate women's bodies.
Okay, so do you mean legislate control over women?
Yeah.
Specifically with abortion?
Taking away her right to choose.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if I ask this question, the answer will be no. But you would say, does a mother have the right to kill her child?
Not kill, but what I'm trying to raise awareness right now is that we need to abolish child neglect laws because that forces women to use their bodies even with babies. Now, I'm not saying they should be allowed to kill babies, but I'm saying they should be allowed to let nature just take its course. For example, I'm just saying, we are saying that it's survival of the fittest, and what I'm saying is I think that the MAGA, fascists, I think you all are winning because you at least are trying to be consistent on the life issue. But what I'm saying is we need to be as progressive consistent. That's why I've got this petition here to get people to see that we must abolish child neglect laws if we're going to be consistent that it really is her body and her choice.
I think you're doing a very good job exposing the hypocrisy of left. It's very effective, and I tend to agree with where you're trying to go. What he, they, them, whatever, is saying is the following, which is to abolish child neglect laws is the furthest extrapolation of a pro-abortion view. Which
that's consistent.
Of course, no, and I don't know what you actually believe. But what he's doing is trying to prove a point that if you are pro-choice, then therefore you should also get rid of child neglect laws because it means you actually don't care for the baby, whether it be in the womb or outside of the womb.
All these people who believe in my body, my choice, people who say they are LGBTQ community members, I'm not against you guys being or choosing to be whoever you want to choose. My issue is that don't pass a narrative to kids. Don't put such bullshit in kids' books in the library. Don't pass that bullshit narrative to young children who are growing up to discover life for their own self. And secondly, see, every single person who came here to talk to Charlie, they are all like delusional in some certain way. They just don't want to believe the fact that there are only two genders. I don't know why it's very hard for people to accept the fact that there are only two genders. It's simple. There are only two genders, male and female. That's all. Any other person will come out with any other bullshit words. It's their own goddamn business. That is not a gender. Do you understand? It's as simple as that. This results to a lot of issue, clash, argument, debate. It's the painful thing about the society is that we are seeing the logic at it with our eyes. We can see it that this is true, but we choose to deny it because we don't want to hurt people's feelings. This is the issue I'm having with LGBTQ community, the queer people. This is the issue I'm always having with them. They are only two gender. You don't force that. You don't force gender to come out. If any single person give birth right now, it's either be male or female. You don't see a dragon. You don't see any garden thing. You don't see anything. Aside male and female, a woman can't give birth to another thing. And you can't just identify as something that you are not. It makes no sense. You're only deceiving yourself. You are only deceiving yourself. It's as simple as that. And people who come out and say, my body, my choice, I have the right to abort, I have the right to get rid of the child, it's not your child. You see those people who say that, like the lady with the rainbow symbol on her shirt, she's just triggered. And she being triggered makes no sense because she's voicing out rubbish from her mouth. I feel like if she go watch this video again, she'll be like, oh, she'll feel stupid over how all her statements she was making here because she's making no absolute sense. This is the future of America. This is the future we're all raising to be the future of America. Sounding and talking like this, like someone who's naive, someone who's not experienced about life, who don't know the left from the right, who choose to ignore the rights because they don't want to hurt other people's feelings. You say if you get pregnant right now, you get rid of it, and you're proud enough to say that. And you personally know you're getting rid of a child. For you are not actually prepared. You have to take responsibility for your actions. You have to take responsibility for your orgasm. If you are willing and open to have sex with another man, you should be willing and open to also take care of that child once the child is being born. Once the child is inside your stomach. Once the child is inside your womb, you should be willing and open to do that. It's as simple as that. You can't choose speak. You understand? This is a baby going inside you. This is you having sex. They collide. You have to pick it. You can't choose to have sex and leave the baby. No. It's your responsibility. You concepted in having sex. People say about people who are being raped, people who are being incest. Those people who are being raped, the percentage is very less. Women who their life is in danger of dying in the process, the percentage is very less. Over 99% of people who choose to have abortion in America, they are all conceptual sex. They willingly give their body out. The men willingly give their body out. They're all accepted to have sex. This is the result. Over 1.5 million babies are being aborted every year. That is a very large number. It is very alarming. If you guys can't see that, I can see it. It is very alarming. 1.5 million babies, guys, per year. No. And it's increasing. It's not like it's going down. It's increasing. It's something we have to talk about. It's something we have to deliberate about. You get? Comment down below what you think about this video. Give us a thumbs up. Share this video as many as can. Subscribe to our channel, guys. We'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure you stay safe.